Hello. So in my last video I showed you how to complete the square. I showed you how it relates to quadratic equations and how it can derive the solution that you're used to seeing for the quadratic equation, which is minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. If you don't know how to derive this using completing the square, please watch those videos now. For those of you who do know how to derive it using completing the square, I'm going to show you an example. I realised in my last video I used completing the square to derive the equation for a quadratic equation, but I didn't necessarily put it into practice and show you how to find the roots of a quadratic equation to a real life question that you might see. So today we are going to try and do it together. Okay, so I'm also going to tell you how I'm going to come up with this question too, so you can see it from both sides. I think that'll be extremely useful. Okay, so I want a question of this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And I want to find out what x is. Now, essentially all I've got to do is pick what a, b and c are. Sounds quite easy, really. And I've got a question, but I want to pick my question so that the answer has two roots, let's say. Let me try and do it. So let's just make it, I don't know, 5x squared plus 6x plus, or let's do a minus, mix it up a bit, 10 equals 0. So this might be my question. I don't know. Let's see how many roots it's got first. If you remember in my second video on quadratic equations, you will know that the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, tells you how many roots there are. If it is greater than 0, there are 2 roots. If it is equal to 0, there is only 1 root, and if it's less than 0, there are no roots. So, let's see if my potential quadratic equation has 2 roots or not. b squared, that's 6 squared, is 36, minus 4 times a, which is 5, so that's going to be 20, well, let's just do it together, times by minus 10, I'll just put 10 here and put the minus over here. We had negative before, and if you add another negative to that, you get positive. So in the end, we get 36 plus a positive number, 4 times 5 times 10, which is 200. 236. That is definitely positive. Therefore, we are safe and we have 2 roots. So, I think I'm pretty satisfied with this question. Let's try and solve it using the method of completing the square. Let's write down the question again on a new piece of paper. 5 x squared plus 6x minus 10 equals 0. So, first thing we do is we factorise the 5. I might even divide the 5. This isn't really the part of completing the square that we're interested in. So basically all we care about is getting the x squared by itself. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. 6 over 5x minus 10 over 5 is 2 equals 0 divided by 5 is 0. So the two equations are equivalent. So now if you remember what we do, you can watch that last video again. We do x plus 6 over 5 divide by 2, if you remember, and that's it, close the brackets, squared, and then we add that big A, and that's going to equal 0. We want the two to be equivalent to each other. Now let's just clean this bit up first. 6 over 5 over 2 is the same as 6 over 5 times 2, which is the same as 6 over 10. So I'm going to clean that up a bit and say 6 over 10. Just looks a bit cleaner, really. So I want the two to be equivalent. Now remember why I wanted to be equivalent. It's then because once I've got, so I'm going to find A, so the two are equivalent. The reason why I want it to be equivalent, as I was saying, is once I have what A is, I can just then shift A to that side, square root it to get rid of this, and then minus 6 over 10, and then I've got what X is. It's quite easy, really. So all I've got to do is find what A is, and then I can do that. So, for the two to be equivalent, I need this to be equal to this, because obviously that is equal to that. So if the right hand side is equal to the right hand side, and if I make the left hand side equal to the left hand side, then the two parts of the equations are the same. Therefore the equations are the same, or equivalent. So let's look at what I want. I want x squared minus 6 over 5x minus 2, that's the left hand side of equation 1. I want it to equal x plus 6 over 10 squared plus A. Okay. Well, let's try and open out the right hand side of that. We're going to get x squared plus 12x over 10. Feel free to open this out by yourself at home. I'm just trying to save a bit of time here. 36 over 100, and then plus A. Normally when I say try and save a bit of time, it really doesn't, because I end up trying to do it in my head and I make a mistake and then I've got to go back and it's horrendous. So I'm hoping that this is correct. If not, then sorry about that. So let's see what we've got. That is the same as that. Woohoo. Wait a minute. Sorry, this was meant to be plus, wasn't it? Yep. Okay, so that x squared is the same as x squared, obviously. 6 over 5x is the same as 12 over 10x. 12 over 10 is the same as 6 over 5. So the only difference is this bit. That does not equal that yet. Well, it might do, it depends what A is, what big A is. So I'm just going to set A, so then the two are the same. Let's do it. Minus 2 equals to 36 over 100 plus A, which is the same as saying A, big A equals minus 2 minus 36 over 100 by bringing it to the other side. So I've got what big A is. So let me correct this then. Sorry about that. Minus 2 minus 36 over 100. So now I've substituted what big A should be. This equation here is equivalent to this equation there. So if I solve for the bottom equation, I've solved for the top equation because they're the same. And then we just solve by rearranging. X plus 6 over 10 squared is equal to, bring the 2 and 36 over 100 to the other side, you get 2 plus 36 over 100. I'm going to square root both sides, and then I'm going to get rid of the 6 over 10 and bring it to the other side. And remember, when we do a square root, there's one solution as a positive, and there's another solution for the negative side. So we've got what x is. X equals plus square root of 2 plus 36 over 100 minus 10. And it's got another solution, minus square root of 2 plus 36 over 100 minus 6 over 10. Those are the two solutions. We have solved the quadratic equation using the method of completing the square. I hope this has been informative, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.